He looked tired, but not the kind of tired that comes from a double shift or sore feet. This was the kind that settled into your bones when you've been chasing something that keeps running away. Raphael adjusted his apron for the 100th time that afternoon, not because it needed fixing, just to have something to do with his hands. The lunch crowd had thinned, the last couple sipping black coffee in silence, the clink of silverware echoing through the little diner. Sunlight filtered through the scratched window, illuminating the dust in golden streaks. Outside, LA was alive with honking horns, drifting dreams, and people trying to matter. But inside that diner, on a Tuesday that no one expected to remember, something happened that no one would ever forget. The bell above the door jingled. He didn't look up right away. Customers came and went. Some asked for coffee, others just used the restroom without ordering anything. But when Raphael finally did glance toward the door, he froze. It wasn't just anyone. It was him, the man who had shaped Raphael's entire life without knowing it. The reason he'd sold everything he owned for a film that only 47 people had ever seen. The face that stood for resilience, grit, and the audacity to believe when no one else did. Sylvester Stallone, the real one. Not a look-alike, not a cardboard cutout at the Hollywood Wax Museum, the real deal. He looked older now, wiser. His gray hair slicked back, sunglasses in hand, wearing a plain black t-shirt and jeans. No entourage, just a quiet gravity that seemed to pull the room into silence. And yet, as he walked toward the booth near the window, it wasn't arrogance he carried, but something gentler. A calm built from storms already survived. Raphael's heart hammered. He felt 12 again, watching Rocky on a second-hand DVD player in a cramped apartment with his mother washing dishes in the background. He remembered the line, "It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward." That line had saved his life more times than he could count. Raphael swallowed hard, grabbed a notepad, and approached the table. "Can I get you something to drink?" he asked, voice trembling slightly. Stallone looked up. His gaze lingered. "Water's fine," he said. Just a regular man ordering a regular drink. But to Raphael, it felt like a test. A moment, weighted with meaning. He brought the water in silence, placed it gently on the table. Stallone thanked him with a nod. But then Raphael did something he hadn't done in years. He spoke. Not as a waiter, not as a worker, but as a man who still believed in dreams, even broken ones. "Mr. Stallone," he began, eyes searching the floor. "I'm sorry to bother you. I wanted to say thank you." Stallone looked up again, his expression unreadable. "I watched Rocky when I was a kid. A lot. Probably too much." Raphael laughed nervously. "I know it sounds cliché, but it kept me going. Inspired me to make my own film." He paused, suddenly unsure. Stallone didn't say anything, just waited. "I sold everything," Raphael continued. "My car, my laptop, my guitar. I shot the movie on weekends, edited it on borrowed software. It didn't go anywhere, no festivals, no distributors. But I did it because I thought, if you could do it back then, maybe I could too." Silence. Raphael felt stupid. He should have just taken the order, smiled, and walked away. Not dumped his failed dream on a celebrity trying to enjoy lunch. "I'm sorry," he mumbled. "That was weird. Forget I said anything." He turned to leave, but Stallone's voice stopped him cold. "Sit." Raphael blinked. "Excuse me?" Stallone gestured to the booth across from him. "Sit down for a second." Confused, Raphael glanced toward the counter. His manager was in the back. No one seemed to care. He slid into the booth. Stallone leaned forward, fingers tapping the side of his glass. "You said you made a film?" Raphael nodded. "What's it called?" "The Last Round. It's not great. I mean, it's rough. I had no crew, barely any gear, just heart, I guess. Heart's the most expensive thing you can put into a movie." Stallone said quietly. Raphael looked up. Their eyes met. "Let me ask you something," Stallone said. "Why did you do it? Why go through all that trouble for something no one might ever see?" Raphael didn't hesitate. "Because I had to. Because I couldn't not do it." Stallone nodded slowly. "You know what I did when no one believed in Rocky? I sold my dog." Raphael already knew that. Everyone who'd ever loved the film knew that. But hearing it from the man himself made it hit differently. Like it wasn't just a story anymore. It was blood and pain and sacrifice. They talked for 20 minutes. Stallone asked about the film, about the story, about Raphael's life. And then he said something that Raphael never expected. "Send it to me." Raphael blinked. "Wait, what?" "Your film. I want to watch it." "But why? It's not—" "Because I see something," Stallone said, standing up and placing a $100 bill on the table. "And sometimes all it takes is one person to see something that no one else does." He picked up his sunglasses and slid them on. As he walked out the door, he paused and looked back. "You made it, kid. Doesn't matter how many people watched it. What matters is that you did it." The door swung closed behind him. Raphael sat frozen in the booth, breath shallow, hands shaking. The waitress behind the counter raised an eyebrow. "You okay?" He didn't answer. He just pulled out his phone and hit send. Raphael didn't sleep that night. He lay on his worn-out mattress in his studio apartment, staring at the ceiling fan spinning slowly overhead. The email was sent, a private YouTube link to a film that had nearly broken him. And now it was in his hands. Part of him wanted to take it back. Part of him wanted to scream. But mostly, he just wanted to be seen. Not as a waiter, not as a failure, as a filmmaker, as a man who tried. The next morning, everything looked the same. The cracked tile in his bathroom, the slow drip in the kitchen sink, the sound of his neighbor arguing with someone through the wall. But inside Raphael, something had shifted. And yet, silence. No email. No call. No message. No sign that Stallone had watched it. By the end of the third day, the hope started to fade. Maybe it was just a polite gesture. Maybe Stallone had forgotten. Maybe the file didn't even load. But that voice, "Send it to me," it hadn't sounded like a favor. It had sounded like a bridge. Still, life didn't wait. The diner was short-staffed again. Raphael worked doubles, spilled coffee on a woman's purse, apologized to the wrong customer, and nearly broke a plate when he slipped in the kitchen. The stress of hope unfulfilled began to weigh heavier than rejection. Then, on Saturday afternoon, it happened. He was refilling salt shakers when his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and stopped breathing. Unknown number. He stared for a second too long. The call went to voicemail. His hands trembled as he played it. "Hey, Raphael, this is Sly. Just finished your film. I have a few thoughts. Call me back." He dropped the salt shaker. Glass everywhere. The entire diner turned to look at him. But he didn't care. He ran outside, heart pounding, and dialed back, hands sweating. "Hello?" Stallone's voice again. Raphael could barely speak. I got your message." There was a pause. Then, that gravelly voice said, "Kid, I don't know what you think you made, but I'll tell you what I saw. I saw you, and I saw a heart. Rough around the edges? Sure. But it's real. It's honest. And that's rare." Raphael felt something behind his eyes. Pressure. A heat that rose without warning. "Thank you," he whispered. "I want to help," Stallone continued. "But not the way you might think. I'm not calling a studio. I'm not sending agents. That's not what this is. What I'm going to do is post it." Raphael blinked. "What?" "I'm going to share it. With my people. With my audience. That's all I can promise. After that, let the world decide." Before Raphael could respond, The call ended, and 30 minutes later, it began. At first, it was just a few views, then a few hundred, then thousands, then hundreds of thousands. The last round, a short film by Rafael Duran, posted on Stallone's official Instagram with a caption that simply read, "This kid reminded me of myself. Watch it." The comments exploded, crying. This hit different. I haven't felt this way since Rocky. Who is this guy? Why isn't this on Netflix? Rafael watched it unfold like someone watching a house catch fire in slow motion. Except this time, it wasn't burning down. It was catching light. But with light comes shadow. By Monday, people were emailing him, some kind, some cruel, some fake. A few offered meetings, others asked for interviews. One producer said he wanted to option the film, but wanted a rewrite with more action and a less emotional lead. Rafael declined. For the first time in years, he said no, because the film wasn't perfect, but it was his. He started getting recognized, at the diner, on the street, once at a bus stop by a woman who just hugged him without warning. "You reminded me of my brother," she whispered. "He passed. He wanted to be a filmmaker too." "Thank you." Rafael stood there stunned. He had no words, but with fame, no matter how sudden or modest, came another ghost. Doubt. He started asking himself things he hadn't in a while. What if this is just luck? What if this is all there is? What if I've already peaked, and worse? What if I don't have another story in me? That doubt grew like mold in corners he didn't know he had. Even as the world clapped for him, part of him felt like he didn't deserve it. He wasn't really a filmmaker. Was he? He was just a waiter who got lucky, right? One night, he sat on his fire escape, headphones in, watching the city blink beneath him. He scrolled through the comments on his film again, and one stuck out. This was good, but it's no Rocky. Just 7 words, but they crawled under his skin. It wasn't meant to hurt, but it did. Because that comment knew what he feared most, that he was just an echo, that his story would never be his, only a reflection of someone else's legacy. The next morning, he deleted the script he had been working on. And that night, he ignored a call from Stallone. The following week, Stallone showed up at the diner again. This time, Rafael saw him from the window and ducked behind the counter. Too late. Stallone walked in, looked around, and spotted him. "Kid," he said. Rafael stood slowly. "I'm sorry," he muttered. "For what?" "For wasting your time. For thinking this would turn into something." Stallone frowned. "You think this was about going viral?" Rafael didn't respond. Stallone stepped closer. "You know why I believed in Rocky? Because I had nothing else. But you," he pointed at Rafael's chest, "you have something. You just forgot it the moment people started clapping." Rafael blinked. "Don't let applause confuse you," Stallone continued. "It's not the world that gives you permission to be an artist. You do. That's the only permission that matters." Silence settled between them. Then Stallone reached into his pocket and placed something on the counter. A small, worn boxing glove keychain. "I carried that for 20 years, he said. "It's yours now. Not because you earned it, but because you need to remember why you started." He turned to leave. Rafael picked up the keychain. It was heavy with history. And just like that, Stallone was gone. That night, Rafael sat at his desk, blank page open. The cursor blinked. He didn't know what the next story would be, but for the first time in a long time, he wasn't afraid to write it. The next script wasn't easy. Rafael had thought the hardest part was making his first film. He was wrong. Now there were eyes on him, expectations, voices, inside and outside, that whispered, "Let's see if it was just luck." Every blank page stared back like a dare. He wrote anyway. A story about a father who loses his son in a car crash, and starts training a young boxer from the same neighborhood, unknowingly channeling all his grief into the boy's rise. It was darker than the last round, more intimate, less dialogue, more pain. It wasn't trying to be viral. It was trying to be honest. 2 weeks into the writing, a man named Carter Beck called, an independent producer, mid-50s, polished voice, slick emails. "I watched your film, loved the rawness. I think we could do something special together." Raphael was cautious, but curious. They met in a cafe. Carter wore a navy blazer, no tie. He sipped matcha and talked like a salesman who knew which dreams to target. "What you did with no budget," Carter said. "Imagine what you could do with mine. I'll fund the next one. We'll clean up the script, attach a name actor. You'll be directing, of course." It sounded perfect. But Raphael hesitated. "What do you mean by clean up?" Carter leaned forward. "Just polish. Streamline the pacing. Add a love interest. Maybe tweak the ending. Something more triumphant. Grief is great, but hope sells." Raphael nodded slowly. "Let me think about it," he said. Carter smiled. "Of course. But don't think too long. Opportunity knocks, but it doesn't always wait." That night, Raphael walked past the diner. He didn't go in. He just stood outside and stared through the window. Same booth. Same table where he had sat across from Stallone. Same cracked vinyl. But he felt different now. More grown. More cautious. More alone. He walked to his apartment, sat at his desk, and read the script again. The ending, where the boy wins, but the father walks away in silence, still felt right. Painful, but honest. Would a more hopeful ending make it better, or just safer? He didn't know. What he did know was that the version he wrote scared him, and that meant something. A week passed. Carter called again, then sent a contract. It offered $250,000. Real money, enough to quit the diner forever, enough to buy new gear, enough to finally breathe. Raphael printed the contract, held it in his hands, stared at the signature line, then folded it, and didn't sign. Instead, he did something else. He called Stallone. "I've got an offer," Raphael said. "Money, distribution, but they want to change the story." Stallone didn't speak right away. Then, "What's your gut say?" "That I should take it, that I'd be stupid not to." "But it also says I'd be lying." "You want my advice?" Stallone asked. Raphael nodded, even though no one could see him. "Don't chase approval. Chase truth. Fame fades. Truth sticks." There was a pause. "You already passed the hardest test," Stallone added. "You kept going after they clapped. Now comes the second hardest, saying no when they offer gold to betray yourself." Raphael swallowed. He thanked him and hung up. He declined Carter's offer, graciously, respectfully, and clearly. Then, the backlash came. Carter wasn't just any producer. He had connections. He knew people. And when Raphael said no, those doors didn't just close, they slammed. Calls stopped, emails slowed, the buzz cooled. People began whispering, "He's difficult. He thinks he's Stallone or something. He'll regret turning that down." And Raphael started to believe them. Doubt returned, not as fear but as exhaustion. He questioned every choice, every scene, every line. And then, the worst thing happened. Someone leaked the last round's original pitch deck, the one with spelling errors, cheesy fonts, and an embarrassingly emotional voiceover Raphael had done himself. Reddit tore it apart. Twitter mocked it. "You can tell this guy used to wait tables. Filmmaking is for artists, not waiters with dreams. This dude had one lucky break and it shows." Raphael shut down his accounts. He went quiet. He stopped writing. 2 weeks later, he received a letter. An envelope. No return address. Inside was a single sentence on a typewriter-style paper. "If the punches don't land, Change your stance, not your heart. No signature. But Raphael knew who sent it, and something inside him shifted. He reopened the script, reread it, and realized something. The ending was never the problem. It was him. He had written it from a place of fear. He needed to write it from a place of truth. So he started over. Not the whole thing, just the ending. He removed the winning match. Instead, he wrote a final scene where the boy, bleeding, tired, almost broken, loses. But when he turns to the father, expecting disappointment, the man nods and says, "You fought like hell. That's all that ever mattered." Fade to black. A month later, Raphael shot the new short. With borrowed cameras, friends helping, no budget. But this time, it wasn't to impress, it was to express. He posted it with no announcement. Just a title, "The Last Round, Final Cut," and a caption, "This version isn't cleaner, but it's honest." At first, the views trickled in. Then something strange happened. People started comparing the two versions. Articles were written. Why the final cut hits harder. Raphael Duran's brutal, beautiful choice. This is how you stay true to your voice. Stallone reposted it, this time with a different caption. He said no to gold and struck something better. The momentum was quiet, but deep. A slow burn, and that's when the real Reviravolta came, a call from a film foundation. They wanted Raphael to mentor young filmmakers, not because he made it big, but because he stood his ground. They offered a grant to fund his next film, with zero creative interference. And in the final scene of the last round, final cut, there's a single shot that still haunts people. The father, walking beside the boy after the loss, slips a worn keychain into his hand, a small boxing glove. No explanation, no words, just legacy, passed forward. The theater was small, no red carpet, no flashing cameras, just 74 folding chairs and a makeshift screen that shook every time someone bumped the projector table. But for Raphael, it was everything. It was the first screening of the last round, final cut in front of a live audience, not online, not through a screen, in a room, with real people, real reactions, real silence. He sat in the back, hoodie pulled up, head down. He didn't want attention, he wanted connection. The lights dimmed, the projector buzzed, the film started. And for 18 minutes and 32 seconds, Raphael watched his heart beat on screen. The father, the boy, the fight, the loss, the final nod, the boxing glove. When the screen went dark, there was no immediate applause, just silence. A thick, sacred silence. Then, someone sniffed. A woman in the front row wiped a tear. And then it came. Not loud, not thunderous, but real. Claps. Steady. Growing. Until the room stood. Not because they were told, but because they felt it. Raphael stayed seated, not out of humility, but out of stillness. Something inside him had landed. After the screening, a young man approached him, maybe 19, nervous. Hoodie zipped to his chin. "Hey, sorry to bother you, I'm trying to write something too. My brother said I should come see your film." Raphael smiled gently. "You write?" "Trying to. It's hard. I keep thinking I'm not good enough." Raphael nodded slowly. "Good has nothing to do with it." The kid tilted his head. "You don't write because you're good," Raphael said. "You write because you have to. That's what makes you a writer. Not talent, not success, not awards, just need." The kid looked down, nodded. "Thanks," he said. As he turned to go, Raphael stopped him. "Hey." The kid looked back. Raphael reached into his pocket and handed him something small, the boxing glove keychain. The kid blinked. "What's this?" Raphael smiled. "A reminder, from someone who once needed one." The boy held it like it was made of glass, and Raphael walked away. A few weeks later, Raphael stood on a rooftop in downtown LA. It was quiet. The city pulsed below, honking, moving, breathing. He had just gotten off a call with the foundation. They'd accepted his pitch for the new film, fully funded. No rewrites, no polish, just truth. He looked at the horizon, and he realized something. He wasn't chasing dreams anymore. He was living one, not the kind that ends in Oscars or Vanity Fair, but the kind that ends in peace. He pulled out his phone and texted one line to Stallone. "You were right, the punches didn't land, so I changed my stance." A reply came almost instantly. "You kept your heart. That's what matters." He smiled, closed his phone. And for the first time since he was a kid on a broken couch with a scratched DVD of Rocky, Raphael felt something he hadn't felt in years. Enough. He was enough. Months passed. The new film entered production. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't flashy. But it was his. He cast a non-famous lead, shot in black and white, refused to use background music in certain scenes to let the silence carry the pain. Critics called it brave. He called it real. On opening night, his mother flew in. First time on a plane. She cried during the credits. "I always knew you had it," she whispered. Raphael smiled. "I just needed to remember." Years later, long after the buzz faded and the press moved on, Raphael returned to that same diner. Same cracked vinyl, same dusty window. New waitress, though. He sat in the same booth where it had all started. Ordered a coffee. No one recognized him, and he liked it that way. He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a small new boxing glove keychain. Not Stallone's, his own. He placed it on the table, smiled, and whispered to no one in particular. He looked tired, but not the kind of tired that comes from a double shift or sore feet. He paused, then added, "This was the kind of tired that comes after you win your last round. Thank you so much for watching. Your time means everything to us, and we hope this story moved you as much as it moved us. If it did, please consider leaving a comment, sharing the video, and subscribing to the channel, because powerful stories deserve to be heard. Until next time, stay kind, stay strong, and never underestimate the impact of one small act of courage.